With helping tons of families relocate to the upstate and getting so many calls from so many of you, I've learned what the top questions are that people ask when they're thinking about moving to Greenville, South Carolina. So I wanted to go ahead in this video and give you all the answers to all of those questions. Hi, I'm Evan Whaley, your favorite Greenville realtor. Today, let's talk about all the top questions that I always get. Things like, what does it cost to live in Greenville? How are newcomers welcome? What are some of the other things that I need to know about that I might be paying for? All that and more. Let's dive in first with the cost of living question. Greenville has attracted a lot of people that want to move here to the upstate because of our cost of living. Greenville is 9% lower than the national cost of living. So Greenville, from that standard, is a very affordable place to live. You're going to see the bulk of your savings in housing, because that's 28%. You're going to see some savings with transportation. Most people aren't commuting as far. They're not doing that city drive. Yes, there is some traffic here, but not to the degree of what you see in larger metro cities. So you'll save some money on gas, and gas is more affordable here than it is in a lot of other places throughout the country. A lot of the other things like your utilities and your groceries, those things, you will save some money, but it's not going to be a significant savings from the national average. But hey, it is more affordable. Next, let's talk about employment. Of course, you're going to move somewhere, unless you're working remote, you're likely going to need to be employed in the city that you live in. The good news is with Greenville, unemployment in Greenville is below the national average. At the time of making this video, it's around 3.5% unemployment. Greenville's at 2.7%, and overall, Greenville has stayed below the line of the national unemployment rate for quite some time now. Greenville has a lot of major employers, and some even being Fortune 500 companies here in the area, something that's pretty unique for a small to medium-sized city. When we break down where the major employers are, we have Greenville and Spartanburg County that make up a lot of where the bigger employers are at. When we look at companies with 10,000 or more, we see a lot in the healthcare and manufacturing sector. When we talk about employment in the healthcare field, you've got Prisma, you have Bon Secours, mainly in Greenville County, and then in Spartanburg County, you have the two of those, and then you also have AnMed and then Spartanburg County Medical Systems. So you have a lot of healthcare employment opportunities here. When we look at manufacturing opportunities, we have BMW, which is the largest employer in the manufacturing space here with over 10,000 employees, and they're continuously adding, so they're building another operation here in the area. You also have Michelin, and then you have ZF Transmissions, and they all employ anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 people. You have Milliken in the area and several other employers that offer manufacturing opportunities. And then when we look at large companies that a lot of people might recognize, we have Duke Energy and GE that are also here in the area. Overall, there's not a lack of opportunities for someone looking for employment here in the job market in Greenville. One of the things that's really attractive for a lot of people moving to Greenville is actually the weather. If I break things down really by seasons, if we're talking about the summer, we're really looking to about middle to end of May, all the way to about the beginning of September. The summer in Greenville is a little bit hotter, more humid than the rest of the seasons. The temperature average high is in July, which is 90 degrees. If you look at rain during that period, you're normally going to see about 7 to 9 days in those months of rainy weather, and it could be afternoon thunderstorms for like an hour, or it can be an all day of rain. Really just depends. And you're really going to see that traditionally here in Greenville through all the months, somewhere between 4 to 9 days worth of rain. We get a little bit more rain than the average US city, nothing significant, but we also get an extra 10 to 15 days of sunshine that most other places don't get when we look at it by average as well. So we talked about the summer. Now let's go into the fall. Fall tends to be really nice. You see the leaves changing. It's a little bit cooler outside, but it's not so cold where you're wearing big, heavy jackets. That's something that people really enjoy. There's a lot of festivals and outdoor activities that Greenville does during the fall season, the biggest of which being Fall for Greenville, which people attend that from all around the world. When we move more into our winter time frame, it tends to be colder. You tend to have very low humidity levels, but it's not so cold that you're going to see lots of days of snow. You might bring out a bigger coat for a few days, but overall you're going to have pretty mild temperatures here compared to a lot of the other places in the US. When we move to the spring, you're going to get almost that like perfect 75 degrees sunny type weather. So spring tends to be a time you'll see a lot of people doing a lot of outdoor activities. There's not a high level of humidity. It's something that people really enjoy. Now the one thing to note, and something that can be a little bit of a downfall, is we do get a lot of pollen here. So I found that for my people that have relocated to the area, it normally takes them one good spring for them to adjust to the seasonal allergies, and then they're normally fine. But it is something where we do have elevated levels of pollen, so just something to know about during the spring. Overall though, people love the weather here. I have people all the time telling me, I actually had a client that moved here from the Chicago area, how they always tell all their buddies in December how they're out on their porch, they're enjoying enjoying their coffee, and they really can go outdoors all 12 months of the year. When we look at the healthcare system in Greenville, you have a lot of options as far as hospitals and different places that you can go. If we look at the big major systems in Greenville County, we have Prisma, and then we have Bon Secours. Prisma has more facilities, more employers. Bon Secours, we're looking at this US News. They have a little bit higher ratings. I've been to both and overall have gotten good healthcare from both providers. And you move to Spartanburg, they also have two major healthcare systems employers as well, and they also have some offices with Prisma and with Bon Secours as well. For the most part, here in Greenville, you're gonna find just about everything that you need from a healthcare perspective. Maybe more of your niche type things. You might have to travel outside the area. You might go to Atlanta where they have Emory, one of the best hospitals in the country, but typically that's more in extreme type situations. One of the things I get asked most often, and something that is a little bit harder for people to wrap their minds around, is what are the best areas to live in Greenville? So what's really interesting about that question is I've found that Greenville is very different than a lot of other cities that people are moving from. What I mean by that is I found that some people will say, oh, well, this city here is all like this. You know, all the homes are really between 400 to 500,000, they're brick homes, etc. And you know, over here, this is more where the $200,000 homes are, and you know, this is more vinyl siding or whatever. With Greenville and all the cities surrounding it, it really is a big mix. It's a melting pot. People actually really enjoy that because it infuses a lot of people from a lot of different situations together and really helps bring out the best in a lot of ways in a lot of these different areas. There are places that people might favor, you know, one over the other. Of course, everyone is different. They're all in different phases of life. They all have their own personal interests and needs. So that really determines what area someone might want to move to and will be best fit for them. What I really recommend is I've done a lot of videos on a lot of the different cities. You can dive into those and find out what might be best for you, or feel free to reach out to me so I can get a little bit more specific. But I just wanted to answer that question because it's something that's so common that people ask, and it's so different from what I found from other areas. Another question I get asked often is, what is there to do in Greenville? The answer to that question is just about everything. Greenville, even though it's a small to medium-sized city, really offers you everything that you can get in a large city. We've got everything from really great restaurants to a national and even world-rated best downtown. We've got a lot of outdoor activities for the people that like hiking, biking, kayaking, running, doing anything outdoors, parks for kids, even for adults. There's so many things to do here in Greenville, and people really love and really appreciate that. We even have smaller professional sports teams or minor league teams here in the area. Now, we don't have any professional sports teams, and you might not find like a massive touring artist like a Taylor Swift or somebody like that come to the area. The good news is you're like an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending on where you're at, from Charlotte or Atlanta. So if you're looking for those opportunities for big performance acts or professional sports teams, you can go there to find that. Our newcomers welcome. So I was actually a newcomer myself about 5 years ago. My wife and I were able to plug in really quickly. We found that people here are super friendly. That's actually a big draw for a lot of people, is they really want to make sure they have tight-knit connections and they meet some really outstanding people. And we were fortunate enough that we had that experience. And I've helped over 40-something families move to the upstate in the last 1.5 to 2 years, and tons more in the years past. I've only ever had one of them move, and it wasn't because they didn't enjoy the area. It was just a situation that actually changed for them. So overall, what I'm finding is people that are moving here, they say they really enjoy it and they really love it. They come to really appreciate, and they call Greenville home. Now, just some really quick facts of things that you need to know about Greenville if you're thinking about moving here. One is we do have a vehicle tax. You have to do a vehicle registration. You do pay a tax every single year, and you'll have to pay to switch your tags to South Carolina. So that is different. Another thing is if you have a home in South Carolina as your primary residence, you're going to pay significantly less taxes. If it's not your primary residence, you're going to pay about 3 times the amount on taxes for that property. And just as a note here, South Carolina taxes, generally speaking, with everything factored in, tend to be in the top 10 lowest in the country. Outside of that, you might be thinking about buying a house. 2 things that you really should know about and that you should pay attention to. Termites are prevalent in South Carolina. The good news is you can get a termite bond, you can get treatment, you can get it taken care of, but it's something you want to be on the watch for. The next thing is radon. Radon is something that can be prevalent here in the Greenville area. Most homes are built with a system to deal with the radon issue, but if you do buy a home, you want to make sure that you get it tested for radon so that you know exactly what you're looking at and if there's any kind of treatment that needs to be done and if the system needs to be run through your house. I hope you found these tips really helpful. Greenville really is a phenomenal place to live. We've had a lot of people that are moving to the area, and again, I've found it to be a really wonderful place for my family and I. All of my clients seem to really love and enjoy it, and overall, we call it home now. I'm curious, in this video, what was the most helpful fact that you learned? And what was something that I missed? What's a question that you have? Leave a comment down below.